there aren't enough of us in this space, so I think I want to create my own wine brand. And so in November, it also happened to be the time that I applied to the Roots Fund. I said, look,
All right, welcome to How's Your Wine? This is your host, Nelson Riabor, and I'm here with Anthony Bowers Jr. I don't have to introduce him. I'm gonna let him do it for us. So Anthony, go ahead and jump it off.
no worries. First of all, hi everybody. For all of you guys out there in podcast land and YouTube land, I'm Anthony Bowers Jr. I am the owner and founder of Aje Wines. I also happen to be the owner and founder of Bowers Enterprises, which is a financial consulting group. Full-time teacher, dad, hubby, as you can tell with all the coloring and whatnot. Doing a lot of things, Roots Fund Scholar as of fall of 23, fall of 22. And so that's been fun. And yeah, we out here just growing and learning, trying to do the best we can do.
Yes, sir. So I was fortunate enough to meet Anthony at the Roots Fund Gala in New York City in March. And we both entered the Roots Fund at the same, cheers to that. We both entered the Roots Fund at the same class, fall 22. Talk about how that has kind of impacted your life so far.
Okay. All right. So for me to talk about Roots Fund, I got to go back a little bit. I want to say a couple years back. It'll make sense when I come back around. I'm not long-winded in that sense, but it'll make sense. So I have an uncle who introduced me to wine. He's a big wine head. He's probably been drinking wine about as long as I've been alive. I'm 34, so he's probably been drinking wine, if not the same time, like age as me, longer. This man knows everything about wine, right? And so we ended up having a Christmas dinner one time. He started bringing out a lot of these good bottles. I didn't know what I was drinking. Now I do, and I'm a little mad because I was just kind of taking them back. You know, when you first get out of college, you don't know no better. And so, yeah, I'm just kind of taking it back, and I was like, I like this wine, though. This is cool with me. And so he and I kind of connected, and we started talking, and the wine book kind of bit me. And so from there, I kind of tried to figure out some things of my own, you know, kind of learn what wine is, what it is, and how you should drink it, different types, the whole nine. But I kind of hit a wall with that, because as you know, Nelson, especially when we're talking about people of color, and no offense to anybody out there, but it just kind of is what it is about the industry. There's a lot of gatekeeping that happens. You know, people won't give you the information that you're seeking, or if you're trying to learn and you're trying to grow, a lot of times it can be difficult to get the things that you're looking for, right? And so kind of on my own, kind of hit somewhat of a standstill because I didn't have the knowledge that I needed in order to keep growing. You know, fast forward to really November of last year, after really growing and kind of, you know, tasting all over California because I'm a big California wine head. And just kind of putting pieces together, I said, you know what? There aren't enough of us in this space, so I think I want to create my own wine brand. And so in November, it also happened to be the time that I applied to the Roots Fund. I said, look, one of two things is going to happen. Either I'm going to get in the Roots Fund, and that's going to be my signal to go after this, or if I don't get into the Roots Fund, it kind of tells me maybe I need to do a little bit more study and understanding. And so, like I said, here we are, you know, fall of 22. I get into Roots Fund. My first event ever actually with the Roots Fund was the gala. So walking into that and like being there and seeing like all these huge wine producers and like all these people that know what they're talking about and being in that space and really just having a conversation, it was nice to kind of flex a little bit because I was able to have a different level of conversation that I have with, you know, some of my other friends and family who aren't so much into wine, right? And so walking in and kind of enjoying that moment and really having that, like, it's completely sold me on what the Roots Fund does and really how awesome they are, if I'm being honest. Through that, I was able to complete my WSET2 certification. You know, when the time comes, I'm going to go for 3 and hopefully, you know, God willing, I can get the diploma, but that's going to be, you know, but all of this has happened literally just because of the Roots Fund and really just for my passion of wanting to see more of us in this space. As you know, as far as winemakers, it's not even 1% of us. And so there has to be more representation out there. And that's why like I said, I'm creating a brand and doing all these deals and really trying to show up for us because we deserve to drink.
Yeah.
I'm tired of us, no shots to anybody, but I'm tired of us only drinking Stella Rosa. There's so much good stuff out there, and we just got to find it. So I'm gonna help everybody find it.
Thanks, man. Well, we're definitely, wishing good luck for you because starting a brand, it doesn't matter what industry, right? But let alone in the wine space where, again, not a lot of us out there representing like that can be another hurdle within itself.
Yeah.
So you mentioned some other roles you have as a teacher. You're a parent. How do you find time to balance all of this?
That is an excellent question. And to be honest with you, I don't have an answer. I just kind of do it. You find the time. I will say when you are passionate about things, you figure out a way to get those things done. And like I said, whether that is me running around with my little 4-year-old who is looking at me through the window right now. So random. Or building a wine brand or building a finance business or being a teacher, whatever you're passionate about, you find the time for it. Being a husband, you find the time to be the best version of that you can be. And so I don't necessarily have like from this time to this time I'm doing this time to this time I'm doing this. I just tackle it all as much as I can every day. It just kind of work in faith and understand that, the things I'm putting forth right now will come to fruition. I just got to put the work in to make them happen.
What subject do you teach and what grade do you teach?
So I teach middle school and high school. I'm in a private school, Sierra Canyon. Everybody knows about them. So that's where I teach. Unique experience, very unique experience. And I teach middle school and high school, and I'm a math teacher of all things. So talk about, kind of being in the space. There aren't too many Black male teachers that teach math. And so I'm used to kind of being that unicorn in that sense.
What similarities do you find between being a teacher, especially like you said, math teacher, where there's not a lot of us teaching math, and then, doing the whole wine business venture?
The biggest thing I'm seeing right now is this idea. It's funny because Sierra Canyon, our mascot is called, we're the Trailblazers. And I very much feel that kind of represents every area in my life right now, where I'm kind of creating this path, not only for myself, but, for the folks that'll come behind me, the folks that'll help and mentor eventually, and when all that stuff comes. I think the idea of being in a space where you are one of the only ones, it makes it a unique idea, because then at that point, you're no longer just someone who is doing something, you're creating something. I hear it all the time, especially as being a math teacher. Like, I'm the first Black math teacher you've ever had. You know what I mean? And this is kids from my lowest grade. I teach in 7th grade all the way up to have seniors. And a lot of them, it is their first experience with a man of color, especially in a math classroom. And just getting them to understand, like, I know you've been kind of conditioned or you think a certain way about certain things, and also look at all the other possibilities that are out there. There are people of color that are doing this. There are people of color that are doing that. And just really, I don't know, kind of getting on my soapbox, if you will, and really proclaiming that. Like, it's a big deal to me that we are shown in so many different ways. Nothing wrong with being a rapper, and wrong with being a ball player. I got friends that are ball players. I got friends that are rappers. But also, too, there should be examples of business. There should be examples of, holding down something that's good for you. There should be examples of showing how you're helping and impacting the next generation. So it's something that I kind of hold dear to.
What got you into teaching?
I fell into it, honestly. I did. I fell into it. My undergrad degree, so I went to UC Riverside. My undergrad degree is in psychology. I was planning on becoming a psychologist. I wanted to sit down. I wanted to talk to people all day because I love to run my mouth. So it's like, I wanted to run my mouth, help folks out, to do what you got to do on them, and then send them on about their way and be great into the earth. Until I actually went and sat down. I started doing a little bit of kind of volunteering and hearing a lot of the heaviness that comes with being a psychologist. I was like, oh, I can't do this. I was like, I want to help people. I love helping people. I will forever help people. And also, this is completely dragging me down. Like, I could feel like physically I was beat every single day. And so after kind of going that route and then kind of reassessing some things for me, I kind of stopped and said, well, what am I good at? And one of the things I've always been passionate about is helping kids love my babies. And so at that time I was in college tutoring as well. And so I was like, well, I can keep tutoring. It's some way, it's a way for me to make a little bit of money. I can just kind of fall into that and whatever goes. And then so I ended up tutoring, and then I ended up becoming a behavioral therapist. So I worked with kids for autism for a few years, which was a great experience. And then that kind of led me into a math position role where I was basically a specialist, where I was helping kids that had issues with math. And then that kind of led me to being a math teacher, to now being a head math teacher. And 13 years later, here we are still teaching.
That's real, man. And kudos to you for stepping out there and like just challenging yourself to, help, whether it's fortunate, less fortunate kids, like keep grinding and trying to motivate themselves to learn. So it's dope.
Thank you. I mean, Nelson, it's so important. You're part of the Roots Fund. You're my family. We're in the same group. There is nothing more important than gaining access to education. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean going to school. Let me clarify that too. School's important. And also educating yourself is important as well. So sometimes it is you reading that book that you thought you were going to pick up, right? It is getting on the internet and figuring stuff out on your own. Or maybe it is the more traditional route where you're going to a trade school or a university or a community, whatever. It doesn't matter. The idea of education is so important. And so, that's something I felt I really could plant my flag in. And so, same thing with wine. Like, the brand is being built on this idea of educating us, educating millennials and people of color on what wine actually is. Because like I said, a lot of us just think it's, once again, no shot, but everybody thinks it's Stella, and everybody thinks it's the super sweet stuff, which is fine if that's what you love to drink. It's cool. And there are also so many other options and varieties and varietals and mixes and blends, all these different things out there that you're cutting yourself off from experiencing because you have a certain idea of what wine only can be. And so, like I said, we're creating Aje with that idea of really educating the community, and more importantly, like I said, getting folks to drink some good wines. That's fun too.
So let's talk about your brand, Aje.
Yeah.
Where does that name come from, and how close are you to like really putting it out there to where you're like, okay, we got this rocking?
Yeah. All right. So first of all, Aje actually came from me and my wife and my daughter's name. So my name's Anthony. My wife's name is Jasmine, and my daughter's name is Eliani. And so this is going to be a family brand. My parents are involved. My sister's involved. My best friend's involved. We're doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes. We were texting one night, kind of in a group chat. So I was like, I'm looking for a good name. I don't know. Like, I'm struggling. I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking about that. Do I do something like I call it Bowers Family Winery? Like, what do? I don't know. But I want something that's a little catchy, that's also representative of us in the community, but also could be anywhere and could be like bougie and classic at the same time. I'm bougie. I live in LA. Going from Dallas, I'm bougie now, I guess. And so texting, we're talking about it. My mom is the one that actually sent it to me. She was like, well, what about this? What about Aje? And so then I start going and doing some research, and like, because I'm also a guy, I don't move. I can move on something cool, but I also want to know what I'm moving on. And so I started doing some research, and I actually found out that Aje means wealth in Swahili. And so I was like, oh, this
Bars.
is done. Oh, this is right. I was like, the moment done. We're through. We are good. This is the name of the brand. And so having kind of this double entendre, this double meaning of like wealth, and it also representing exactly what I created it for, which is my family. Aje was kind of built out of that. And so, like I said, kind of what I was saying earlier, it's this idea of this brand being built around family, being built around community, being able to, like I said, just kind of pop it open and be able to have those conversations with those that you love and those that you care for. Because you and I both know, Nelson, wine is best when it is around the people you care about.
No doubt.
And so we did that whole deal. In regards to your when are we launching, fingers crossed, we will be launching in August.
That's coming up right around the corner.
It's about 3 months, and I'm a little nervous, but we're going to get through it because that's just what we do. We are in the process now. Everything is basically aging. I think we're going to bottle, if I remember right. Let me see that real quick. It's May 8th now. We probably will bottle the beginning of June, is what I'm thinking. Let it chill for a little bit, let it relax and breathe so I can do all the fun stuff in the bottle. And then from there, we release in August, and then it's off to the races.
Now, apologies if I missed this, but just to reiterate, what varietal are y'all focused on first, or do y'all have multiple varietals?
So we're starting with 2.
Okay.
I was going maybe 3. We're gonna see how we're going. One of them is still in barrel, and I'm like, I kind of want to bottle you, but I don't know just yet. I'm thinking to just let you chill a little bit longer. But for sure, we're starting with Zinfandel. It is my absolute favorite wine grape of all time. By the way, like I said, you folks out there that may drink sweeter wines, Zinfandel is a great place to start to kind of get into some good stuff. It's why I wanted to go there. So we're starting with Zinfandel, which I absolutely love and adore. It also happens to be California's widely planted grape. I didn't know that until I actually got into it and then started like learning all these facts. And then we're doing a port too, because
Man.
yeah, we sophisticated, classy, and bougie over here, and what is nothing but a port. And so yeah, like I said, we out here just making things happen. Those will be the first 2. My third, if it's ready in time, we'll open up with the Tempranillo too. For me, it just matters about the quality of it, because I'm also not putting anything on the shelf that's not going to be good,
Yeah. Well, when that Tempranillo comes out, I'm ready for it. I'm ready for the joint. So I need that.
We start with all the good reds. Next year we'll also do a so I got a random text. Next year we're probably going to do some Sauv Blanc, because that's my favorite white. And we might get some Viognier in there too. Thinking about doing a too, which might be kind of fun.
Hey, we're all looking out for it. Do you have where is it going to be sold at, or how can people look out for your wines?
So because I am about bottom lines, in that sense, I have an MBA.
You're a math teacher,
I'm a math teacher and I got an MBA. Like, come on.
Yeah.
We decided to not open up actual physical location just yet. It didn't make sense, and I really wanted to grow the brand. And so we're going to be selling online. You'll have access to everything online. I'm also going to be pouring at a bunch of fests if everything works out in the fall out here in California. And you can just hit me up. Like, we'll do everything compliantly and legally, but you hit me up, we can figure out a way to get you to pay, and we can get it sent out your way. I'm at this point, all I care about is people drinking good wine, like I said, and being able to connect with their loved ones, the ones they love the most, whether that's friends or family or, coworkers, whatever the case may be.
So what was the biggest challenge for you to create this brand, and how have you been able to overcome that so far?
You're asking all the good questions tonight, aren't you?
I have to.
Yeah. So I think you hit it spot on. The biggest challenge that I have had, again, to the same point, has been this idea of gatekeeping. When I first got started with this, I met a bunch of people really quick who quickly kind of became my wine tribe. And they all happen to be people of color too, but they all had a similar experience, which was, we're asking people how to get started in this brand and no one will tell us. And I was like, nah, it can't be that bad. Nah, I think maybe you just ain't asking the right folks, because I'm a forever optimist. It can't be that bad. People gonna help you. You just got to ask the right folks. And I remember just kind of starting, to ask around and have the conversations, and people would not tell me. Like, even to the basics of getting your license in California, people wouldn't even give me the information on how to submit the paperwork properly, right?
Man.
And so the biggest challenge that I've had has been getting the information needed to keep running, number one, but then number two, to like actually make it happen. And so I've been fortunate and blessed enough that I have a really, really good wine tribe that is already released and already done a bunch of things that kind of guided me. And I have a mentor, his name is DiMaggio Washington, who's been making wine for about 35 years, who really sat down with me and said, like, hey, this is the paperwork you need. This is what you need to do. This is, maybe the most cost-effective way to do this. Have you thought about glass? Have you thought about closures? What about this? What about that? Have you thought about, like, at least in California, the CDTFA, which is like the tax agency of California, and how you plan on paying those taxes? Have you thought about working with the TTB and what all these things require? By the way, I'm giving y'all all the insight for all y'all that think about making wine one day. Go get that license. If you're in California, get that CDTFA, talk to the TTB. You got to get your label approved. And all of this costs money, aside from actually making the wine and getting the glass and getting the corks and getting the barrels if you need them, and all that comes with that. And so for a big portion of it, education was a big barrier. Like I said, it wasn't until I really kind of sat down with him and found him by happenstance that we really got this up and running and going. And what has taken people, God, years to accomplish, I mean, we're doing it in months. And I mean, and I got to kind of stop and plug God for that, because I know it's nobody but him that's allowing me to do this right now. It takes people years to open up a wine brand, years to make wine. We're doing it in less than a year because we were able to find the right contacts and the right people, and everything is just kind of fallen in place. And so I am a very, very big believer in, if it's meant for you to happen, it will happen. Maybe the road is a little hard, but it will get to where it needs to get to. And, you know, we're living proof of that now. It's crazy. So,
man, that's a big time, like, just, and I don't know how to relate to those emotions or feelings, but what are the emotions that you're getting when you have to like rush through this experience where most people are, you know, taking years to build that brand?
The question that I consistently ask myself, it's a daily thing, is how did I get here? Every single day, I'm like, how am I doing this? Because, like I said, I have mentors. I have people that I talk to. We go through and do these things. And even when they come back to me, they're like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, you know, some of my previous mentors, it took me 4 years to get into the wine business. It took me this amount of years. It took me that amount of years. Like, you mean to tell me you're doing this, you know, in less than a year? And so there is a great, I don't know, there's a sense of gratefulness that I have for it, because I know, like I said, as hard as I'm working, I know it's not me. I know it's God that's kind of pushing in the back scenes and orchestrating it and moving it and giving me the favor I need. And also, how the heck did I get here? I'm a 34-year-old black dude. As you know, most folk that make wine ain't my age, ain't our age, right? And so it's like, how am I a 34-year-old black man who has now gotten to a place where he is months away from opening up, who owns everything, you know, outright, has trademarks, has everything together, and we've done all of this in less than a year. I can't say anything, but God is great. 100%.
Hey man, that's dope, man. So how do you see this in your future? You know, you're 34 years old. We're not talking like that's old. Like, man, that's still very young. So like,
we just getting started.
right. So like, how do you see this in, you know, building your future? And like, you got a young family. Like, how do you see this fitting into that picture?
This is my retirement plan, to be honest with you. I mean, I got retirement stuff other places. It's growing. It's doing what it needs to do. But I don't think I'm ever going to be a guy that stops working. I think I'm just going to consistently just work on until I work on. And so part of creating Aje, number one, was to have something that I can do that I'm completely passionate about 100% of the time for the rest of my life. That was one. The second one, like I said, was building this idea of community so that people have what they need. And then the third one was I wanted to leave the biggest legacy possible to my family. Like, I think about my daughter, like I said, she's 4. And all I want her to realize is that anything you put your mind to, you can do. Yeah, it may hurt a little bit. Yeah, there may be some effort, some time spent, some emotions had. That's true. And also, anything you put your mind to, you can do. And so, like I said, I'm just trying to be that example to the little one, and, you know, love with my wife and give her everything she needs, and really just create something, like I said, that our family can be proud of.
I'm single. I'm 33, just turned 33. So how does your daughter know, like, does she grasp the concept of what you're doing and how much of a magnitude that is for you and your family?
Her statement is, I actually got a little upset the other day because she went to school and told her teacher this, making it sound like I'm a wino or whatever. She was like, "Teacher, my daddy drinks a lot of wine." Thank you so much, Ellie. Thank you for having me out here looking like I don't do nothing all day. So I think she's starting to understand that I love it, but I don't think she has an idea yet of, you know, like, what generational wealth means and like how hard I'm working. I mean, she does understand that daddy works all the time. She tells everybody else, and she's like, "Oh, daddy's probably going to work later today." And so hopefully with that example, number one, she won't have to go to work every day. But then number two, there's also this kind of idea that's rooted in her that hard work gives you what you want, gives you what you need. It's just a matter of getting it done. So
That's real. All right, so in my background, I don't know if you can see. Let me see if I've been. So you got the Dallas Cowboys, Dallas Mavericks. So Anthony actually is from Dallas, but he's out in LA now.
Yep.
Um, how did you like get to LA, and what do you miss about Dallas the most?
First thing I miss the most, barbecue. Good barbecue. LA, I love us. I've been here 15 years. I love LA and everything about it.
Yeah.
But y'all got to get some daggone good barbecue spots. Like, come on. I mean, also, you're competing with Dallas, so. But yeah, so I was born here in California. When I was real little, I think I was maybe 1, maybe 2 years old. Dad got a job opportunity out in Dallas, decided to take it. So we moved out that way from the ages of 2 to 14. Lived in Dallas. My sister was born out there, 09. A majority of my family is here in California. And so my family at 14, they decided to kind of make the trek back. Because we, like, if you can't tell, one of kind of our family tenets is family. Like, we're big on it. And so we were like, hey, now that we've gone and done all the things we need to do, he ran a very successful mortgage business at that time. He was doing really well for himself. He's like, we're going to move back to California and we're going to do that. And so I've been here like actually 20 years now. God, 20 years. And like I said, so I love LA. Honestly, I love the weather. It's been a little extra the last few weeks. I think everybody in the US, though, has been experiencing that. But the one thing, like I said, that I am missing from Dallas right now is I am missing some good barbecue. I'm thinking about going back real soon because I'm like, I got to figure out a way to, I don't know, package, ship it, something. Good barbecue.
Hey, man, barbecue is different down here. There's only a select few spots in the whole country that have barbecue, but Dallas got to be top 5 for sure. Barbecue.
I'd say top
barbecue
3.
City.
Sorry,
top 3, yeah.
North Carolina, because I know I just made y'all mad, but you'll be all right.
They'll move on.
Y'all be all right.
What you sipping on tonight?
All right. So, as stated before, Zinfandel is my favorite red. I love a good Syrah too, though. Syrah's kind of for me, but on the white side, and I feel like they should be paying me for showing y'all this, but it's fine. Lobster Reef, Marlboro Sauv Blanc. Sauv Blanc from Marlboro, bruh.
Popping off.
Whoop.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see it. There you go.
Yeah. The Lobster Reef.
Go get that. You want to talk about, so you and I can, okay, let's nerd out for a little bit because, we got some time to do this. Let's nerd out. So we know Sauv Blanc. We know all this stuff because we've both been, certified and done that whole deal. The best place, in my opinion, the best place in the world to make Sauv Blanc is definitely New Zealand. Like, all of the fruit that you get off of it, the nose, all of, like, the peachy berry, like...
You get more ripe flavors.
Yes, you get all those, like fire. And I've had a bunch of Sauv Blancs for, from a bunch of other places, but I consistently go back to a New Zealand Sauv Blanc every time. If I see it on a menu and I want a white, it's what I'm ordering, and I really don't think outside of that. Unless it's a good Chablis. I will tear up a Chablis. That's not true.
I've been on the Chardonnays from Australia recently.
Yeah.
Again, similar, more riper flavors than your traditional Chardonnays, especially, unoaked Chardonnays, get that more fruitier flavor. Yeah.
Yeah. All you folk out there, because like I said, we're talking to YouTube right now, or wherever it is we're talking to.
Right.
I want you guys to do a little social experiment, if you will. I want you guys to go get an oak Chardonnay. You're going to get and most people understand what that is, especially out here in California. Californians loved oak Chardonnay. I don't really get it, but they do, right? And then after that, I want you guys to go get an unoaked Chardonnay, preferably from the same region if you can do something like that. And I just want you to taste them and see how different they can be. I was not a big Chardonnay fan because I actually don't like to cook Chardonnay. A lot of times too many people oak it too much and it's a freaking wood palm, right? But it wasn't until I actually started drinking unoaked Chardonnay that it actually made me appreciate what Chardonnay can be. And so I'm in agreement with you 100%. Like, a good unoaked Chardonnay, A1. Man.
Different. Different.
Well, actually, I didn't even ask you. So, from what you said earlier, is your favorite wine Tempranillo?
I love Spanish reds. So, obviously, Tempranillo.
Rioja.
Being a little bit more, Rioja, being a little smoky. Give me that paired with some nice food. Like, good to go.
It makes sense.
You can drink it.
Also in Dallas, like a good old smoky something with a Rioja or a Tempranillo because of the spice. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And being in Texas, obviously the vineyards, we don't have a lot of, vineyards like you go to Cali or New Zealand or France, but the climate can almost be as similar as Spain, right? A little warmer.
Okay.
So you will get some of those warmer undertones, more riper flavors, and that's why I tend to lean towards like a Tempranillo, or Spanish reds.
That is interesting to me. I've been reading, and I've been reading that Texas has started kind of coming up in the vineyard game and the grape game, and I initially was like, wait, what? From being from there, I'm like, where are you growing? How are you growing this there? But now that I'm thinking about it, it does make sense. A lot of places, you got a lot of, I shouldn't say marsh, but you got a bunch of fields. You got a lot of wetland there too. So it makes sense that it would work. And because it does get hotter, especially in the summer months, it makes sense that it work. That's interesting.
Yeah, a lot of vineyards, like if you go down to Fredericksburg, which is close to San Antonio, or Johnson City, they have these grapes that are imported from West Texas, where the climate is a little bit more conducive to getting the grape growing and all that. So they get their grapes from like Lubbock, again West Texas, bring them down to that region. So if you down in San Antonio, Austin area, definitely try and hit those wines in the hill country, vineyards in the hill country, decent wines. Love more Verde down there. Again, Tempranillo is another option. So definitely check those out.
That's awesome. Come on, Texas, do your thing.
We're trying. We might not catch up to any other major player, but at least we have something that's depending on the season, is drinkable.
Yeah, I mean, you can't do anything about the season, but
can't do it.
I mean, you really, honestly, especially now with all we've learned with the Roots Fund and everything, we've just kind of amassed up as far as like understanding and education. People probably not gonna like them to say this, but that's fine. You literally could plant vineyards anywhere, as long as the vines have to struggle to make what they need to make. You dang near can plant a vineyard anywhere. I'd be interested in tasting, like, I don't know, one day like a wine from Mississippi or something. Like I'm interested in seeing like if
the difference.
If you plant something somewhere, what is the difference in flavor or terroir or primary, tertiary, secondary flavors, whatever it may be. What is the difference between that from North Dakota? Might be too cold, but still, actually, might make a good white if it's cold.
You get the similar. It depends on like the latitude, right? The climate, similar to what they see in northern Europe. Mm-hmm. So
that's what I'm saying. You can get a lot of stuff in North Dakota that mirrors, a lot of the northern parts of France. So that could be kind of interesting. By the way, don't nobody steal my idea. I'm just rambling a bit right now. And so if y'all decide that y'all gonna take my idea, I'm just letting you know now. I need 20% on that vineyard. Thank you so much. Or just send me grapes for life. That's cool too. I'm all right with that too.
You heard the man. No, but I think Andre Mack, he's one of the people that I like to watch on YouTube, and he's got a wine he tastes from every single state. So like that could be something that you even build on, or anybody build on. Just like, again, tasting wines from all across the United States.
Andre is so dope. For this, so actually, I didn't say this good story. Went to the gala, went to New York, had a good time, whatever, right? We got there about a day and a half early, whatever, so we had a little bit of downtime. I went to Andre's restaurant, Mac and Sons in Brooklyn. Because I was like, look, I'm in New York. What the heck I'll look like not trying to see Andre Mack? And guess who was at the whole thing?
He was there?
Yes. And I about freaked out and I nerded out all at the same time. It was like, I'm a Roots Fund scholar. I'm making wine. So much for being you. You've done it. Just I went off. And he was just like, thank you, man. And
that's dope, man.
The coolest Andre Mack voice ever. Just thank you, man. Forever.
Smooth.
Forever now. I'm just like, dude, I'm forever a fan of yours. I mean, I was a fan.
And he's from Texas too.
He is. Yeah.
That's dope, man.
And so I'm just like, man, he's good people. I don't know if you've heard or know of Dylan Proctor too as well. He's up in Napa. Dylan Proctor is also a big time Black Psalm in our community. Another, I wouldn't say good friend, but we know of each other. And so, we had a couple conversations. Also amazing guy and amazing palate, honestly. Like some of the stuff we've sat down and talked about, and like some of the stuff we taste, I'm like, I don't even know how you got there, but okay. Thank you for showing me how much I don't know.
Man, we all have a lot to learn, and that's what's so cool about the wine space is that you can literally plant a grape or a vine tomorrow. And 10 years from now, we'll be sipping on it, learning how the climate impacted that grape.
Yep.
And I mean, just so much to learn, so much to appreciate from the people, the farmers, to the producers, to the marketers, to salespeople, like everybody in between. Like they're so much responsible for what we're doing and what we're consuming.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more.
Man.
Like I said, the more I kind of learn and the more that I dig deeper into this industry and the more that I learn, the more I am just completely grateful for every portion of what the wine industry is. You know, because so many times people, and, you know, to their credit, they kind of heap the praise on all of the winemakers, which, you know, yeah, you're taking this grape and you're doing what you got to do and, you know, you're messing with it and doing it in your style. Great. And also, we're not talking about the folks that are actually in the vineyard that are picking the grapes for us, right? We're not talking about the person who spent the last year cultivating and pruning and making sure, you know, that when the fruit set comes in for the grapes, when we start blooming and when we start getting, you know, actual little baby buds and all this, that they're growing in right. We don't talk about the people that go out, you know, and sell the wine and do those things and are in distributorship. And so, like I said, the more that I find out, the more that I talk to people, the more that I kind of immerse myself into this industry more, the more I'm just like completely grateful. I got a guy calling me now. I was like, I'm not even releasing yet. And he was like, I don't care. He's like, when you're done, I'm representing you. And like, just like that, he's like, I'm representing you. I'm going to sell you out your first year. And I was like, I don't know. And he's like, no, you don't understand. He's like, your name, the way the bottle looks, all these other kind of things, like your label. He was like, it's going to be very, very easy to sell your product. And so, yeah, I'm just grateful because, like I said, favor, as we say in our community, favor ain't fair. It is true.
It's not. You gotta work. We gotta work extra hard, double, sometimes triple, sometimes quadruple, just to get us out there. So it just speaks to how much work ethic that you put in. I even watched you during the gala in New York. You know what I mean? You're doing all the supporting with the logistics and getting the wines to and from. Like your work ethic is really like unmatched. So kudos to you and being able to balance all of life and all of your business ventures too, man.
Well, I appreciate that. That's awesome. I mean, I don't see it like that. I think all of us can all hit the same area, but I'm also working on learning how to take compliments, and so I will take your compliments. Because it's rough. It's rough out here for me. I have issues with that, but yeah, it's great.
Well, man, I appreciate you taking the time out. I know it's only 6:00 out there in LA. You still got the sun, golden hour. I hope you get to enjoy that with the fam.
Yep.
Where can people follow you at, and where can people learn more about who Anthony Bowers Jr. is?
Yeah, so we got 3 handles on Instagram right now. My personal page, Anthony Bowers Jr., all one word, of course. Bowers Enterprises is my finance company. We built and grew that company on the idea of showing individuals, number one, how to retire earlier, and also to be able to mitigate their taxes and how much they have to pay out once they retire. And then last but not least, Aje Wines. So that is AJE Wines. You can find that on there as well. Or if you just go to my personal page, it's all kind of listed in the little bio section. Our website will be up and running July, right before we release, because I wanted to make sure timing was good. And we're actually going to do probably a pre-order as well on that, probably the beginning of July. And so for all of you who may be interested, first off, thank you. Secondly, if you are interested, once that pre-order comes out, I would hop on that quick because I'm already, just on commitment alone, I think I'm already halfway sold out, I want to say. If not,
you heard the man.
Not a little bit more. And so I want to make sure the folks that want to have this in their hands get it, and I will do my best to make sure that happens.
You heard the man. He's got the Zinfandel and the port dropping soon. Zinfandel, one of the highest planted grapes in California. So if you're not taking advantage of Aje Wines now, I mean, ASAP is probably the best timing for you. So again, follow Anthony, follow his story, and we're definitely grateful that you were able to squeeze in a little bit of time this evening to talk to us. So appreciate you, Anthony.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you for having me on. Could have picked anybody and you chose, me. So I appreciate you. It's awesome.
Thanks, man. Well, again, take time to learn more about Anthony, Aje Wines. Again, follow him on Instagram, follow his website, get his wine, no doubt. And if you are looking to join the Roots Fund, visit rootsfund.org. Great opportunities to get your education up in the wine space. So again, thanks, Anthony, for joining. And link up with us, man. Appreciate you. Hope to see you soon. I think I will actually in Napa this week. So
yeah, I was going to say, we going to Napa this weekend. I'm about to have me a good time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good old 24 hours, baby.
I know, right? 12 hours.
12 hours, yeah. All right, man. Appreciate you so much.
Awesome, man.